up? Welcome.
Thank you. We go down here.
Yeah, we go down the stairs, eh? You could see on the Springbok bus, guys were singing. Beforehand, that was not something black guys could feel comfortable doing. You know, it was my dream, and I was prepared to die for that dream. Sun's out, guns out.
I was going to say, you have achieved, I mean, surely about as much as any rugby player can dream of. A Tri-Nations, a rugby championship, a rugby World Cup. When you think about your nickname, Beast, because it's become so much more than a nickname.
The Beast. That was the full force of the Beast.
Who's the first person who called you Beast?
My best friend, his name is Kuda. You know, he gave me that nickname because he thought it suited my mold and the kind of person I was. I was quite aggressive by nature as a kid. So I think, X-Men came into the picture and Beast, obviously, and then, they gave me that nickname and it stuck with me for so long. So I would have never imagined me, reaching, the heights of success and ultimately making the Beast, my own brand, So I'm really grateful that it worked out.
Zimbabwean born and raised, take us to what it was life like in Zim and why you had to leave.
Yeah, I think where I came from, life was pretty tough, I grew up in Harare, and as you know, back then, the economy was basically collapsing. There was a lot of bad things that were going on. The land, grabbings, and people getting kicked off their farms. So there was a lot of commotion in the country. And at the time, as a young man, I wanted better. I wanted success, and I wanted to make it in life. And my parents did their best to give me the best start in life, but they didn't really have much. And I remember, leaving home with just a backpack with a few items of clothing and my boots and 2,000 Rand and a Discman. And that was it. I boarded that Greyhound bus to Durban with a dream. And I was prepared to die for that dream, to put it plain and simply. I was like, this is my opportunity to change my life, to turn things around, to provide for my family. So I was like so ready for it, and I guess, just going out there to prove my worth.
So now you're out of that environment, you're in Durban, you're playing rugby at the Shark. But you were, cleaning and working, tending the bar for 300 Rand a week. That's like 15 pounds a week at one point, right?
Yes, no, the cleaning part, I was a bouncer and a bartender.
A bouncer and a bartender.
And a bartender, so that was kind of my, the little jobs I used to do to try and get some money to put food on the table, and at the time I didn't have a contract with the Sharks, so I had to be a bouncer at a nightclub.
Your dad didn't exactly encourage this rugby career and you chasing this dream all the way to Durban.
It was hard. It was really hard because my dad believed that, I probably wouldn't make it, because of where I'm coming from and what I was going to face. He, in his words, he said, you're going to face some giants and they'll probably crush you. And that, that motivated me. I'm like, I'm going to prove you. I'm going to prove you wrong, and I'm going to show you that I can make it. So all these things, all those various, battles that I had and all those, things that I was really upset about, they gave me, they fueled so much, passion and a drive to succeed that I couldn't understand at certain times as well. I was surprised, by many of the things that I got to overcome because purely of my mental strength and how I was prepared for anything.
It's fascinating to me in your autobiography that Regan Hoskins, who was the chairman, the president of SA Rugby at the time, said that what was frustrating about the fact that government didn't want to let you play for the Springboks because you were not a passport holder of South Africa. You were not a citizen. You were from Zimbabwe. You were here legally working, but you were not acknowledged by them as South African. Regan in your book says he's convinced it's because you're black.
I knew that I was here for a bigger purpose than just myself. I knew that I was representing so many other people out there that have walked the same road as mine, and I believe that there was a bigger thing at play here, and that was horrible to experience that in the early stages of my career after having had probably one of the most successful years, 2009, you know, beating the All Blacks 3 times in a row, winning a British Irish Lions tour, having been quite a prominent figure in all these achievements, and following year, the Minister of Sport decides to pull me back. And I'd qualified under the IRB laws, and everything was looking good, the future was looking bright. And this was totally something that was not about me. It was bigger than me. It was just probably targeting rugby because at the time maybe it didn't stand for what the politicians liked at the time. So it was very tough. It was ugly, and I remember crying and breaking down in front of my wife, and we just prayed. And that's what we did. We prayed every single day and hoped for a miracle, because everything what I was hearing around me was that you should stop, go overseas, go and earn some pounds, some euros. You can't be treated like this. And even my own teammates were frustrated, couldn't understand. And thankfully, God sent Desmond Tutu because he gave me a call. I'll never forget it. It was an amazing phone call to hear from the Archbishop himself and saying that I know you, I support you, I've seen what you've done for rugby, I'm such a fan, you're such a role model for our kids. That gave me the biggest, boost, because I was down in the gutters. And that just lifted my spirits. And I remember even going to the gym after that, because I was like, I'm feeling it now. I got, even the Archbishop, on my side. And that's when everything turned around. And I think they had their internal discussions, and the minister, Nkosazana Flamini Zuma, she said, we're going to give you a passport.
Wow.
Yeah.
The broader occurrence of xenophobia it's just so heartbreaking, because in your case, it was so very clear that what you were doing was for the greater good of South Africa. But it was also for the greater good of representation, because for a long time, you were often the only black player in the Springbok team. You were also carrying the responsibility of changing the way people saw black rugby players in rugby, not just in South Africa. I mean, you were playing international rugby. We only had a black Springbok captain win a World Cup for the first time in 2019, and you've been in that space for a long time before Sia came along. Did you feel a lot of that responsibility? Was it heavy?
No, I did feel a lot of that responsibility, and I guess it was something that was thrust upon me in my journey to carry that that burden. At some stage it did feel like a burden, but it was a mental, that I got to actually lay the foundation for guys that were going to come after me. So that's why I felt like, I had to work extra harder. I had to really put up performances that showed that I was deserving of my place in the team. And thank God I was able to stay in the system for so long and actually got to witness that change, watching Sia becoming the first black Springbok captain and ultimately lifting that William Webbelis trophy was just, it was, like coming full circle for me. Like, this is it. That's why I could retire with a smile on my face, because I could walk away and see that the Springboks were in a better place than when I got in.
What is it that you guys got right around race between 2018 and 2019? What is it that shifted? Did you guys have more open conversations?
Yeah, we did, Alma, and everybody used to just tippy-toe around this issue, and it actually, probably hindered us from a lot more success, back in the day, because it wasn't fully addressed. And then now when Rusty came in, we spoke about it. Everybody felt comfortable, because Rusty was like, we need to achieve a team that is fully representative of how diverse this country is. We need to have inclusivity, and everybody needs to feel comfortable, in the team culture. And all those little things, all this, this mythical stuff that was kind of, clouding the team from being successful was starting to be removed, slowly, So that's what I felt like the Springbok environment became more comfortable for everybody, especially people of color. And for that fact, that's why we could go on this journey with guys being themselves. You could see on the Springbok bus, guys were singing, my Pimpi was singing. Beforehand, that was not something black guys could feel comfortable doing.
One last thing. What was really interesting to me when, in the week of your 100th test, I called your wife and said, we want to do something nice for Tendai. What is it he would like? She said he would like red velvet cupcakes, anything basketball related, and he's obsessed with tech gadgets. And I said, we don't quite have that budget, and if I send him 100 cupcakes, the team doc might be on my case. And she called me back a while later, and she said, you know what would really mean a lot to him? Is if the president called him. And now when I think back on that, at the time I was like, okay, cool. I mean, the president calling you for your 100th test? But considering the fact that you were stopped from playing for the Springboks only a few years prior, and you had then racked up another 80 caps to get to 100, did you feel a little I told you so by the time you reached your 100 and the president finally called you to say thank you for your service?
Yeah, it was a sweet moment. It was very nice, it was unexpected. I think we just come off the training field. And then I just remember Umchala, Charles Vessels, saying, do not, make sure you answer your phone. When your phone ring, answer it. And yeah, and then it was like that. I answered the call and the president was on the other side, and it was incredible to just get, the acknowledgement that you've done so much for the country. You're a great role model, and we're proud of you. You're playing your 100th test match as the first black African player, and yeah, it was probably one of the really special moments. And thank you for making it happen.
Not me, it's all you.
No,
when you say it's for the beast, you can almost get anything done in South Africa.
Jeez, I'm not seeing.
You should try it. You should try it. You can get almost anything done. Thank you very much. It was lovely to come and visit you here, and I'm so excited about what the future holds.
No, thank you so much, Elwood. Thank you for the conversation. I enjoyed it.
Gem and beast.
Cool. Cheers.